So the vast majority of the people I know that are interested in learning to code want to do so in order to get a job. But that brings up a variety of questions. What do you need to know? When should you start applying? How do you network? What's your portfolio need to look like? What kind of projects do you need to have? And so I want to demystify that a little bit. So I'm going to take you through from beginning through application of everything that I think you should do in order to get a software engineering job. The goal is for you to be able to feel like you have everything you need in order to start applying for jobs as a software engineer in 2021. Okay, let's talk about skills. These are all going to be web development focused skills. There are other kinds of software engineering, embedded systems, stuff like that. I'm going to be focused on the web. And anyone that's working on the web needs to know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. At least the bare basics. In my opinion, there's no better place to get started with those than Free Code Camp. I will have links to all the resources below, but Free Code Camp is the best place I know of to start learning. It has an interactive page that lets you actually type things in and see what's wrong. I think it's great, and it's totally free, like the name says. So I think that's the best place to get started. From that point, you can either pick front-end or back-end development. I would probably pick front-end because I think the entry point is probably a little bit more accessible. And given that you've already learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript at this point, those are all front-end technologies that make up the basis of any web page. And so you'll have a leg up as far as learning more front-end development is concerned. You probably need to pick up a front-end framework, and I would suggest React. It's the most popular framework, and there's probably going to be the most jobs available in React, and if getting the job is the goal, then you want something that is in demand. You could also go back-end. I'm not going to get too much into the back-end, but if you want to do API development, you need to learn a server-side language as well as probably some SQL or some kind of non-relational database and learn how all of those fit together, how to write endpoints, how to deal with security, how to deal with storing, retrieving data, things like that. I'm going to link below 2 roadmaps. So there's a great website called roadmap.sh, and it basically does what I'm talking about right now, which kind of shows you everything you need to learn in order to become either a front-end developer, or back-end developer, or a DevOps engineer. DevOps is another option, but I think as far as like actually writing code goes on a day-to-day basis, either the front-end or the back-end roadmaps are going to be really helpful. I'm just giving a brief overview here as far as what I think is going to be most helpful as you're learning and kind of the broad paths. So definitely check those out. So you need to pick one of those. You need to learn kind of the bare minimum in order to be productive. But then what do you do after that? After that, I would suggest building some projects. And so whenever people ask me for ideas of things to build for projects, things to put in a portfolio, I always say solve your own problem in one way or another. So I made a video on how I automated a part of my wife's job using a simple script. I think that could be great. What you want to avoid is doing the same thing that everyone does, which is building a blog, building a Twitter clone, building a Reddit clone. Those are pretty common things, and you want to find a way to stand out with your projects. The whole point of projects is to be able to showcase your skills in a way that's super, super accessible. Now, one thing you do see a lot of, like I said, are kind of those blog clone things, and while demonstrating full stack apps is really helpful as an interviewer and as someone who has looked at a lot of portfolios, I think I want something that's low friction. So if the person has to like create an account in order to log in and kind of see how this CRUD app works, then that might not be ideal. So I'd say have some options that don't require a login and maybe 1 or 2 that do. Now, some good ideas I think are, like I said, automation scripts. You can also remix pre-existing projects and add functionality or existing websites. And basically you just want to kind of show something that has to do with your interests. So there's a famous creator named Mubashar Iqbal, Mubs, and he created, he's very prolific when it comes to side projects, but he created a website called Pod Hunt, which is basically like product hunt for podcasts. So that's what I kind of mean by remix, is you can take an existing concept and apply it to a new domain. So I think that's a really good thing to do. Basically, you just want to build something that you want to exist in the world. And ideally, you're getting into code because you love it, not just because you think it'll give you a lucrative job. And if you love it, then that probably means that there's stuff that you have ideas for that you want to build. And so I would suggest just trying to put stuff out in the world that you think is cool. It's really the best thing you can do, and that will give you the most fertile ground for things you can talk about during interviews. Okay, so that's skills and projects. One thing I want to talk about is the concept of learning in public, and that is something that you want to be doing this whole time. I'm going to link a great blog post below about learning in public from Swix, where he really just defines it, lays the whole thing out. But the idea is that you are documenting and sharing everything that you're doing, everything that you're learning as it's happening. And so you kind of have this pretty incredible log of your trajectory. It helps you meet people. It helps you find mentors online. It kind of just opens the whole world up to you. There's a lot more that can be said about learning in public, but I think that Sean says it better, so I'm going to link that below. Basically, in addition to a portfolio or a website that showcases your work, you definitely want a blog. Now, that could be on Medium, but I'm a fan of hosting your own content. I will link my personal site below, which isn't perfect, but I think is a pretty good example of a place that you could store content that you write and you own the content. So with Medium, for example, you don't own your own content, and that is important. So I'm going to link my site below, but the idea is that you just want to document everything you're doing and create kind of a name for yourself online. It will go a super long way, and at the very least just demonstrates to people that you're a genuine learner. And as someone, like I said, that has done interviewing, that has a say in hiring, I'm always going to pick the person that can learn and that is excited to learn. And so again, assuming you're doing this because you love it, you want to be able to demonstrate that in a tangible way. So as you're setting up your portfolio with your projects, make sure you get a blog going as well, and make sure you're updating, writing regularly on the things that you're learning. You might also try writing for other platforms like dev.to, dev2. You also will probably want to check out Twitter. There's a great Twitter course out there from Daniel Vassallo, so I'm going to go ahead and link that below as well. I would check that out. But the tech community tends to hang out on Twitter. I didn't understand Twitter for a long time, but I think Twitter can also be a very fertile ground as far as meeting people, getting help, building your community goes. And so I would definitely check that out. So learn in public. Okay, also as you are learning and building your projects, you want to be networking. And so there's online networking, kind of like I've been talking about, but there's also local networking. And I've talked about this in past videos, but I think one of the best places to meet people is meetup.com. Now, a lot of meetups have moved online or are a little bit disrupted because of the pandemic, but I think Meetup is still a super great place in order to find like-minded people. So I would just search for developer meetups in your area. If they are online, then you want to attend the Zoom call or whatever, or if they're in person, go in person if you're comfortable with that, if things are safe. And you might think about reaching out to speak at some point. So I've spoken in the past about how important it is to do public speaking as a developer, how many doors it opens up, how great it is, how much authority it gives you. So I'll link the video where I talked about that below. But basically, you want to just be attending meetups locally if you can. And you also want to be trying to build your community online. So I just talked about getting on Twitter. You want to do that. Writing online. Also, if people are putting things out into the world, then you use their app and give them feedback. Or if someone has an ebook, then buy it and read it and send them a question. This is another concept from learning in public, which I just talked about, but there is a significant piece about learning in public that is all just about meeting people and getting mentorship. And so concurrently with learning in public, growing your presence online, you want to be trying to meet people online as well. And like I said, like Sean says, people want to help genuine learners. And so as long as you're projecting that genuine learner vibe into the world, that's going to be really helpful to you in the long run. The ideal from all this networking is not that you're like trying to kind of get in with people so you can ask for something. For me, networking, the only way that I can really stomach it is by doing it in an altruistic way. So always be looking to help, always be looking to add value, always be looking to give. And then at some point down the line, after you've built up relational capital and goodwill, then maybe you can make an ask. Another objective with this networking is to find a mentor. Now, there are paid sites where you can do this, like Mentor Cruise, which I'll link below. But the ideal is this: you want to find someone that can share their experience with you, that can maybe guide you a little bit in the right direction. Development is really overwhelming. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of kind of dead ends and paths that you don't want to go down to. So find the people online that you think are really helpful. Maybe try and form a relationship, and eventually you want to try and find somebody that can just give you that guidance. And so I would say a really big objective with all of the networking is going to be finding a mentor. Now that can either be done locally through meetups, like I said, or online, but you want to really find that at the end of the day. Okay, now I'm going to talk about applying for jobs, and I'm really only going to talk about one strategy because I think it is the absolute best strategy, and that is targeted outreach. So assuming that there are tech companies in your area, what you want to do is you want to make a short list of the companies that you're really interested in, whether that be because of their culture or their product, and you want to find people online that work there, and ideally hiring managers. So in a perfect world, these would be companies that are hiring, and you want to go online and find who you think is the hiring manager or the engineering manager or the engineering director, somebody like that that's in a position of authority, and reach out, ask for a 30-minute Zoom call. Assuming you can get them on a Zoom call, you want to talk about your experience, your story, why you're so passionate about coding, all the work that you've done to teach yourself. You want to talk about portfolios. You want to talk about the projects you've done, what you're excited about, and why you're interested in their company. And then maybe apply and ask them, hey, is it okay if I just shoot you an email when I apply and just let you know so you can look for my application? Something like that. So that's kind of your end goal in this meeting, is being able to stand out and kind of get ahead of the pack, as it were, and not just be a name in a stack of resumes, but someone that is really standing out through passion and learning and what they've been able to do already. Now, this is a fair bit of work, I will admit, but I think you want to do targeted outreach in this way. I think it'll yield long-term a lot better results than if you were simply spraying and praying. So you don't want to do the spray and pray. That is a huge mistake, and that is the way that most people approach it, which is like, hey, I'm just going to send out 100 applications. I don't think that the results tend to be very high value from that. So you want to be much more intentional, much more focused with your job search, and have an idea of the places you want to work other than just wherever the first place is that gives you a job. That factors a lot into negotiation as well. But basically, if you can be in a position of strength, that's going to be helpful. And I think having decided already that you want to work at a specific place is leading to a position of strength. But the point is, you want to make a real connection and not just be submitting cold resumes. A lot of this outreach can be done on LinkedIn, and it's totally okay to follow up. A lot of times people just get busy and things need to kind of float to the top of the inbox. So don't be afraid to reach out 2 or 3 or 4 times until you get a no. And if you get a no, you just respectfully say, okay, and you move on. So we've talked about what to learn, projects to build, do you need a blog or don't you, how to do targeted outreach, and that gets you right all the way through beginning to learn through applying. And so there's definitely always more that can be said, but I think this is a really good starting place. Check out the learning roadmaps below. Check out the other products and blog posts that I've linked. And please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I know a lot of people are starting on 2021 goals, and if it is your goal to be a developer by the end of the year, then I want to be helpful as far as that's concerned. So feel free to DM me on Twitter with any questions. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And thanks for watching all the way to the end. I will see you in the next one. Bye.